The United Kingdom is poised to leave the EU, but it's been said that it's already been done, that decision's already been taken. Around 52% of votes are counted supported the Yes campaign, while 48% have voted to stay in the EU. Now, just over 90% of the votes have been counted so far. So let's get reaction on the line. We have Clive Incorporated's Chief Investment Officer, Clive Ramathabela Smith, regarding the implication of this Yes. Clive, good morning to you this morning. I mean, is it safe now to say that Britain is officially out of the EU?
Hello! Top of the morning to you and to the viewers as well. All faith has been lost now. It is official. The UK has voted to exit the EU. It is an unbelievable decision that they have made. I think this sets precedent, and I'm worried that the fact that they've done it in this fashion, that maybe some other countries might follow suit. It is groundbreaking news.
Well, of course, they're saying that the markets have crashed. I mean, looking at the local currency, how's the local currency affected? Speaking about the rand in particular, as well as the British pound.
The rand has plummeted. It's gone down by nearly 10% against the US dollar. The pound itself has gone down by 8.5%. And also we started to see the Asian markets, which normally are an indicator whether or not it's going to be good news. They are down. I mean, in Hong Kong this morning, they're down by nearly 5%. You're looking at the Hang Seng, it's down by nearly 5.5%. It is gone turmoil. Everything is in red. We have a red city all over in the Asian market. If you go back now, you'll remember just overnight, the rand has just plummeted against the United States US dollar. So all this means is that the markets cannot believe what has actually happened. They anticipated that the conservativeness of the UK people will decide quite in a majority to say that they want to be part of the EU. This was not expected. And what also is interesting, Faith, to have a look at is the countries of the parts of the UK that have chosen to exit. You know, most of it has to come from England. And so if you look at, for example, Scotland, almost 60% of the people voting that they want to stay in. So the question is, what will happen next? And what will happen next, I think, is that Scotland itself will vote to leave the UK and become part of the EU, which will be quite phenomenal as well.
Well, obviously looking at exactly how is it that South Africa or even the continent gets affected with regards to that decision. We're actually speaking about last week where the SADC countries has signed an agreement with the European Union, largely championed by Britain, for some of those economic pockets to be built, but also some of those economic bilateral agreements. What happens to those agreements at this stage, given the trade agreements that exist between the UK as well as Africa?
Well, to be honest with you, Faith, there's not a lot that people know what's going to happen. And in actual fact, we're all speculating right now. But I can tell you one of the things that I think will probably transpire going forward. And, you know, those deals that you're talking about SADC, they will not be effectively affected that much in the beginning. But with the response of the market, the way it's looking, those countries themselves will be very negatively affected in terms of their trade. What we'll see happening is that as well, those negotiations will have to be starting very soon with regards to how the EU is going to treat the UK going forward. Are they going to be coming out with harder punishments? Are they going to come out with stringent measures to control what happens? If they do that, will that spark another revolution as well, where people will say maybe we don't want to be a part of the UK, we don't want to be a part of the EU because they're stringent against other countries who are not members of the EU. So that on its own is going to be something that we have to be keeping a close eye on. The other thing that you've just mentioned now about the South African or the SADC region, how they'll be affected in terms of trade. Remember, the UK is the fifth largest economy in the world. That means lots of trade that happens in the EU happens as well from the UK side. So if they vote to exit, that means a lot of businesses will be lost. And that means that you'll have to somehow come up with new ways to attract new business onto the EU. The prices of trade that have been negotiated will also have to change. So that means we're going to have a very, very difficult time coming ahead. And it might just spark that other EU members also want to exit, especially looking at countries who have become very nationalistic, such as France, such as Germany, and also included in that Greece, who are in a default at the moment.
Sure. Well, Clive, obviously it's a very interesting times indeed, as you alluded to, that we're living in. But of course, that story will be developing throughout the morning.